Okay, so you have the, again, the layer that's in the middle of this is going to be the logos that you can see and hide. And then when you zoom in, hopefully you can start to understand the keystrokes with the Option key zooming in. With the right and left, it goes up and down. The Command key lets you go left or right. And you get to see the overall segment, and Option scroll down. So trying to give you some of the moving capabilities along with the computer that they talk about. Spacebar lets you move around. And when you take a look at this logo, if you can see the shapes and just wrap right through them, overlap them, and combine them later, you'll get a better result with the pen tool. So if I click and use Command plus, it's going to zoom in right to that point based off of that selection. So taking a look at this curve again, I'm just going to try to find the midsection of it and bring it up to this top piece. Command minus will let me zoom out. Spacebar again, let me cut across. I can hide this panel of the layers over at the left. And so far I have a fill of white, which I'll keep just temporarily, but there I can drag the handle out, come up to here trying to find that line. I can also hold the spacebar and move that anchor point and get all the way up to the top here. And then coming around this selection, finding the midpoint here. And now it's going to be pretty close where I have to get rid of the white fill so I can see what I'm doing, and come all the way down to this section and curve that a little bit. Spacebar lets me come all the way down to the point. So what I mean is, instead of trying to wrap around it, it's much easier to just do the overall shape and come back and combine them all together. It makes it a little bit easier. Okay? So taking a look at these pieces, this straight edge that she has, if I want to click off of it, I hold the Command key. It turns the cursor into the selection area where I can click off of everything, and now I can start a new path. And I'm just going to overlap this one. And if you don't want to climb back over to the toolbar, just hit the letter X. The keystrokes are when you leave the mouse over it, it tells you what the keystroke's going to be for that one. So I can switch this, Shift X will switch the fill and stroke. And again, the spacebar lets me line this part up. So that's the shape. And again, Shift X switches it so it's a fill. Okay? And keep in mind, if you have your item selected up here in the fill and stroke, the control panels, you can also change the color up here to manipulate it that way. So it's just a matter of trying to find these pieces that she has for overlapping the shapes. And Shift X again. That's going to give me this point and this overall curve. And clicking on there to set it as a corner point and coming all the way down to here. And that gives me that piece. So again, just trying to fill these in nice and easy. Let them overlap themselves. From there. This part on the left, just try another tool just to show it to you. It's the segment tool, line segment tool. When you open it, it gets you a number of tools, but the line segment will let me just click and drag. You can use the pen tool. I'm just going to show you this one here, just to give you the idea. There it is as a black line. I can increase this. And what you're trying to do is create this into a shape. Right now it is a line. If I go to Object Path and go to Outline Stroke, it now becomes a shape up here. So I can click on it with the direct selection tool and move these pieces and click and just line them up so they line up with that anchor point. This way it guarantees that it's the same thickness all the way through, and lets me just adjust, and it lets you intersect the anchor points, that type of thing. It makes it much easier to draw. So now that line is actually a shape to it. And coming down here, you're probably going to be better off with the point of the pen tool. Come straight across here. Now, depending on if it's perfectly horizontal or at an angle. And Shift X will do that. And zoom in, it's going to be right where that point is in the magnification. Brings that piece across. spacebar come in this direction. So again, I'm just going to continue this all the way across. And that makes it much easier transition for that part of it. And then clicking the P for the pen tool gives you this section. Come down here. And again, looking for the distance, just trying to help this section out. And Shift X just to swap it so it's back to the stroke and the fill. Clear than this part. Okay, so now, just to show you, all these are pieces that are parts. So I'm just moving them and then just going Command Undo, and that puts them right back. And I want to make a selection of all of them, so I make a selection box with the pen selection tool to move, click right here, and just make a box that covers everything. It's all combined, and you can go to Pathfinder and click on this to make that shape. So this is now all treated as one big shape. For the type, we'll come back to the logo, just take the text tool, and when you click, keep it all one text box and just type in art, hit return, animation, hit return and hit design. And what you now have is a text box, and up at the top, when you click on character, you'll see that you have the option to change the font in here. So when you take a look at the overall look of the font, you can highlight it in there. Next to it is the styling of the font. So I'm just going to make it, I'll keep it as regular. Keep it as regular. That's good. And then down below is the point size. So I can click inside, use the scroller mouse to increase the point size. So I'm kind of looking at the word and see how large it gets. Right next to it is called the leading, which is an old term for lead inset on a typesetting process. So it's adding space or taking away space in between the lines of type. Okay. And if I go over here to paragraph, they have this hidden over here. I can make it all centered, so it's centered to itself, and then come back to character if I need to. But that gives me that font and the lettering kind of listed in there. Pretty good. And here I have this selection. Now again, you can color this or make this into gradients, anything that you want once you have this style highlighted. So I can also click on the layers and hide this background layer just so I can see it. The gradients again. If you click on, here's the color guide, here's the color panel. So you can switch in here, extending this down to change all the colors, see what it looks like. You can change it by clicking or adding in the CMYK sliders up here. And then if you go to the swatches or the gradient's going to give you a default of black and white inside the swatches. Inside this part, it'll give you a couple, if you've had saved a couple of them in there. So just kind of showing you what that looks like. You can edit it on here. It gives you plenty of opportunity for that type of a look to it. And again, just to get you into the effects to show you, there's a number of effects in here. And drop shadow for one I used before, just to show it to you again. And you can hit the tab key, which is going to hide all of the panels. Command R is going to hide the rulers. And Command semicolon will hide the guides. All keystrokes that you can locate under Window. All they're listed right next to it, those that have them. And then Command Shift 4 is going to let you click to make that logo right there.